All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Good Morning Azeroth. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Any audio difficulties, definitely let us know in the chat. It's good to see everybody, some people. We're back in the saddle today after a bit of a hiatus with Dunedain and Def Camp. Melderon might jump in at some point, you never know, but if not, he'll be with us in spirit. How the hell are you guys, man?
What is up? Dude,
It's been a long time.
it's been
It's
way
so
too
good to see
long.
you.
Way
So
too
good to see
long.
you.
This feels great, man. I just want to say, everyone, hello. Cargos, thank you for getting this together and everything. And dude, there's just so much to talk about today. So much to go over. So many things we want to express and talk about. And I'm just super psyched. Hellpecker, yeah, let's fucking go.
Yeah, it's been
Maybe
3 months or something since our last one.
Yeah, it's been a
minute.
way too long, and I think we need a blessing of you, DevCam.
Oh, are we ready? Are we ready for it?
Always ready, bro.
Here we go. All right, everyone, let's do it. You know the drill. If you have your speakers turned up a little too loud, you might want to turn it down a second here. So let's get it. Here we go. Good morning, Azeroth, number 66. We are back after a 3-month hiatus. Let's fucking go, ladies and gentlemen. Boom! Got it.
Hell yeah, brother Def Camp always bringing the energy, man. Yo, Warrior
All
TSW
right.
with the massive raid to start us off. Thank you so much, man. I'm sure you're doing your thing and really succeeding in TBC with all your wealth of experience and everything, bro. I haven't caught up with you in a while. Thank you very much for the raid, Fitch. Thank you for the sub, guys. Welcome back. So
Cheers.
we're gonna talk about the state of classic WoW in all of its varieties today. So each of us are kind of doing different things in classic WoW. Def Camp and Dunedain are both playing TBC mainly, but Dunedain is hyper focused on PvE and leading his guild through that, and Def Camp's been doing a bit of both, doing some PvP as well. I've been staying on the SOM side of things, and there's a lot I have to say about SOM, and I never really got around to making a video or putting my piece out there on it for whatever it's worth. So I'm gonna get into that stuff. Yeah, it's great to see you too, Warrior TSW Fish with the 4 subs. Thank you so much, brother. It's been years. Many people in the chat. It's been years. You guys have been supporting us on and off, and
Yes.
you know, hopefully the stream and the music and all that can do something for you. You know, like it's been a while, boys. It's been years now on this classic WoW adventure, and we've been doing this podcast for years. I mean, on and off,
Yeah.
inconsistently. But it's been a great
And you know
pleasure.
what's crazy too? I don't think there was any scuffed anything this so
No,
a couple of years, but you know I think we got it down. I think you got
it has to be Melderon.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just ruin it. True, man. But all right, boys. We can. Dunedain wrote down a big list of talking points. We can chip away at them in any particular order. You know, yeah. Why don't we just get right into it, man? What do you have first?
Yeah, maybe just some little intro, like what were we doing in the
what we've
past
been up to
few
recently.
months, and how we got here, because the list I wrote, it's so much. I think I missed quite a few things, and we will get there when, well, I guess it will just go easy once we start talking about certain topics. But so much has been going on. We have had SOM Lounge. Almost all of our guild transferred to SOM for a while. We played that. We thought TBC was like halfway dying, and then suddenly something changed, and everyone jumped back into TBC. So it's been quite a ride. A lot has happened. I've played Horde for a while on SOM. Now I'm back to my roots, Alliance, and I can tell you, Horde was shit for me. I didn't like it at all. It didn't feel home.
No.
I can't imagine you as anything other than a human paladin, to be honest.
I know, right?
Yeah, I was a troll mage, and I just I still have it, obviously, but I mean, it didn't feel well. But our goal was to get Ragnaros down on Horde, and we did that. And that's when I decided to end it for me in SOM,
Yeah.
and I moved back to TBC, and never been better on TBC, honestly.
So before we go on too, I like the way you started off the conversation, because you were kind of telling the story of Classic WoW, where we were and where we are, and no one really knows for sure like exactly how things transpire. You're always, it's always anecdotal, your own experiences, right? But I do think there's a lot of truth in what you said. So TBC came out, right? There's a lot of hype for it, right? There was a lot of hype before TBC came out.
Oh yeah.
And then Phase 1 was fun for a while, and then few things happened, which we could spend 30 minutes talking about, but for whatever reason, it started to really fall off, it felt like.
Yes.
And people were really feeling like TBC was in bad shape, that it wasn't nearly as successful as Classic WoW. And that carried on. There's still a core group of people that are having a ton of fun. SOM was announced. There's a lot of hype for SOM. We did Road to Rag. There was many other things going on. And it felt like for a time period, SOM was maybe equal to TBC, or doing better than it maybe for like the first week or something. Now SOM is withering in many people's eyes, at least. And TBC has had this massive resurgence. And Def Camp had a theory that there's more people playing TBC now than ever. Even it's or is that what you said?
Yeah, so what I've heard that active raiders and stuff. So TBC apparently is in a better place than it has been pretty much all of TBC except for the initial launch. So there, like I said, there's been pretty much a huge, like you said, a resurgence in TBC, and I think a lot has to do with, we'll get into not only this raid tier, but a lot of the PvP changes that have happened. And I think current things are going on other places in WoW. Like Dunedain said, my story is a lot like his. TBC was announced. We all got hyped for it, even though the hype wasn't obviously as big as Classic was. Classic hype was a lot bigger. There were some people that weren't maybe hyping it up as much. But I was super hyped for it. It came out, and then it was kind of like this huge rush, and then it kind of just Karazhan was out, and it was out for a while. Karazhan, Grolls, and Mag, and it was kind of just doing some heroics. Then the next tier came out, TK and SSC. Something that happened here, I think, is a lot of people didn't expect how difficult these raid tiers were, especially before they obviously had nerfed it before the next tier came out. But I think a lot of people got burnt out on the SSC Tempest Keep tier. I think a lot of people were expecting to kind of just go through this raid, and there's still people out there who I know who haven't even cleared those raids, because what happened was the servers were in a really bad state. A lot of people were bleeding members from the guild, so they're bleeding people, they're not able to fill their ranks back up, and they're not able to do the raids. So I think so many people stopped raiding around that time, because first of all, the difficulty was not what they expected. And then this problem with the servers are all these people are ended up leaving up the servers. They're unable to refill their ranks, and they're not really able to do the raid. So people were really frustrated with how it felt. Then Blizzard came out and nerfed the content, which is something that they haven't done in a long time. They nerfed the content before the next raid tier was even out, right? Which I still don't agree with. I don't think it was a good move. But I think that even kind of got some more people pissed off. But then all of a sudden, right, and during this time, right, where all these people are leaving, SOM comes out. So, I was hyped for it. We had the Road to Rag event. It was a lot of fun, so much fun. But I think a lot of people realized, after getting into SOM, for me, it was really nice because I'm playing a Paladin, an Alliance, something different. But a lot of people were like, man, we just did this. Is it too soon? Kind of feeling. And, for me, I still enjoy every time I play on SOM, but I can understand that for a lot of people. So I think what ended up happening was, the frustration with Tempest Keep and SSC, the launch of SOM, we saw a lot of people, go away from TBC. And then now it's kind of the opposite, right? Black Temple and Hyjal. Black Temple, of course, one of the most,
So do you think a lot of people skipped T5 as a tier and are coming back for T6? Is that what happened with you, Dunedain? Did you raid throughout, or? Yeah,
I have been raiding throughout. Yeah, I've raided a bit too much for a while because I was raiding on both TBC and SOM, and that was exhausting as hell. But I don't think people skipped tier. Well, it's not. Tier 5. I don't think they skipped it. I just think people raid logged more, and some people obviously left TBC or WoW in general, but most of them are back now as well. So I don't most people started tier 5 and then they skipped like the last few weeks of it to go to SOM. But I don't think it's entirely skipped at all. And honestly, I agree with what Devkip was saying. They nerfed it too fast, even though it was very, very, very hard, and many guilds were breaking over Vash and KT, I think. But when you finally got it down as a guild, it feels really nice. And then having it nerfed a few weeks after it, that feels rough. And it's not just like it's not nerfed to a few percentages easier or something. It's like a walk in the park now. You can basically go in there with 15 people and still down it. It's like, I mean, it's not even close to what it was. So I thought that was a mistake as well.
Yeah,
So-
I just wanted to iterate. Like, I think a lot of people, like, that when I stream and stuff, a lot of people give me their input. Like, I don't think a lot of people were like so much skipped cargoes too, as much as a lot of people, completely like just stopped, raiding. They got it down a couple times or whatever, and it was just like, the timing with SOM again, with a lot of things, a lot of people left. But I think what we can't underestimate now is a lot of people returning, not just for this raid tier, but for PvP, with the changes that happen with PvP. I think a lot of people are returning. And you have the Netherwing dailies and all this other stuff going on. It just really feels like it's thriving a lot more than it was, for me at least, than the rest of TBC.
Yeah, before we go on, one more thing. I think one of the main reasons people are returning is because they saw SOM, they expected a lot from SOM, and they didn't get it. And they saw that TBC had a lot to offer to them still that wasn't explored yet. And it feels like TBC is much more of a home for many people. So I think SOM, in the end, some people are still liking it. It's very nice. But it also had a purpose in that people now understand that TBC is what they actually wanted to play, apparently.
Right.
Even though they doubted it.
It's tough to... The grass is always greener, so to speak, right? Like, people are always craving what they don't have, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, and you don't have to just play one or the other. Some people play both. Many people play both, actually. But probably my only useful or maybe like somewhat interesting thing I'm going to have to say on this whole GMA is my perspective on SOM. And I guess we'll get into it more later. SOM has been some of the most fun I've ever had playing World of Warcraft.
Wow.
I really feel like they've done an amazing job in many respects with SOM. It's not for everybody, because a lot of people are just like, I just did this, right? But SOM and having TBC next to it and a lot of things, it's made me realize like how much I do love Vanilla WoW, though. And it's like refined. It's refined in my mind why I love Vanilla WoW. And there's many things they've done with SOM that in my mind have enhanced it and have made it better. And I feel like they've been pretty receptive to feedback. And I've really, really enjoyed it. And I'll probably talk more about it later. But Dunedain said earlier that you're really happy with TBC. Like, you don't think it's ever been better, right? Well, I'm pretty happy with SOM right now. And a lot of people are, left already. But I feel like the people that are left on the SOM side of things are enjoying it. And they're going to go the distance and, clear all the content. And, BWL came out yesterday. Had some really fun fights in there. And Blizzard's sort of refining their strategy here. Like, they're realizing, how to tune fights so that they're more fun and more interesting. Right. And they don't need to radically, redefine a fight. They just need to shake up the meta a little bit so that everything changes. And SOM has really shooken up the meta of Classic WoW, boys. That's something that if you haven't played Classic WoW at a deep level, or if you haven't played it a lot, it's easy to go into SOM and feel like, oh, it's the same game. It's the same game. When it's very, very different of a game, IMO. And sorry if I'm like rambling here. Like, just type something in the chat if like no one is interested. I don't know, but like everything from launch day, the quest routing is all different with the 40%. Now it's 100%. You have Dire Maul at launch, which makes it feel like when you're going through that amazing Priebus grind and doing that stage of the server lifecycle, that's such a fun time, right? But without Dire Maul in the picture, because if you remember in Classic WoW, it came out a bit later. Without Dire Maul in the picture, it feels like you have the spooky dungeons like Strat and Skolo, and then you have the Blackrock dungeons. And that's about it. And like it's still fun and great, But adding Dire Maul adds this whole like third color palette and area, and it feels really good on launch. And a lot of private servers had it on launch, right? So Dire Maul being there tier 0.5 gear being there from the start was amazing. It felt like such a different game being able to pursue 0.5 and have a pretty substantial set fully equipped before you go into your first MC and going to Alcaz Isle and all the little nooks and crannies of Classic WoW that a lot of people didn't explore. I never got 0.5 done. Never really had a reason to. And the implications of having 0.5 out are vast and far-reaching in SOM as well. You have Rogue Dark Mantle set out, for example, which is making backstab rogues, daggers rogues, viable. They're actually bits. Yeah. It's changing things. Hunters, which I'm playing right now, is much stronger relative to other classes. People say, there's a lot of like world buff doomers, and there's people on both ends of the coin. But I've enjoyed the meta, man. Warriors are still pumping, rogues pumping. There's more diversity on the meters in all respects. They just made it recently so consumables can proc multiple, which is fun. And I was in the shower today thinking about that, and I was like, I'm a hunter. I've been spamming Dire Maul Tribute and trying to get gold that way. And now I'm not. Now I'm out here farming Elemental Fires. Now I'm out here farming Dreamfoil. Why am I doing this? One, it's really fun to proc these potions, but two, they found a way to balance the gold farming a little bit, because hunters were kind of OP farming Dire Maul. Now if you can just go out and farm Dreamfoil, and all the prices of those mats are super high because everybody wants to craft them and get procs. So I don't know if that even makes any sense, but it's making it so whatever class you are, you go out there and you get the Elemental Fire and Dreamfoil and all this. It's evening the gold farming methods.
The farming, yeah. I think what's really interesting to me with SOM is it's such a good experiment. I mean, obviously it's not for everyone, right? But what they're doing in SOM is a lot of experimentation, and I think that's really good. It's a really good way for them to gauge, what's working and what doesn't. So I think what they've done really well in SOM is, turn the fucking meta upside down, right? Because we've all played Classic and we all love Classic, but Classic in its pure state is great. It's a lot of fun, but when you've been playing it for so long, you want to switch things up a little bit, right? And I think what they did with SOM, their target audience was really a lot of the Classic Plus people, but obviously a lot of people right now, are playing other games. It's spread out. But the best part about SOM is that they're able to experiment with a lot of these things, like you just said, Cargos, turning the meta up on its head, doing these things where they're, potentially, lowering the leveling speed. They're, making it easier for farming and all these other things. And I think what's, really good about this is if you are someone who, loves Classic WoW in its original state, like myself, it's good to go in there and kind of try something else and, play it. And kind of really understand that this is the place where Blizzard can really experiment, and not just for future seasons, but even future expansions or other games, right? Where it's a really good place for them to kind of see how implementing something can change things for the better, change things for the worse. So even if SOM isn't doing really great right now, I think it's still a good thing for them to keep pushing and keep doing, because it really allows for them to experiment.
Man, I can't wait for season 2 already, bro. I'm enjoying it. I don't need it. I'm used to playing on Dead Realms now. Played on Bloodsail, playing on Obsidian Edge. I don't really mind it, bro. I'm just out there chilling, farming my stuff. I don't know, man. I mean, everybody's got a different take on it, but I've really appreciated what Blizzard has done with SOM. I feel like they did a lot right, and I feel like they got a lot of hate. A lot of people think SOM was a disaster. SOM was horrible. That's why I just that's what I feel when I look out into the landscape of thoughts.
In a sense, it was horrible to our guild, but the reasons are many people thought they didn't like TBC because SOM was fresh, and they thought SOM brought everything they wanted, and TBC couldn't bring that. And then what it did is, I think, for many guilds, is split the community for a while. Yeah. Luckily, everyone came back. But SOM was horrible in the sense that it was, in my opinion, timed terribly wrong, way too early. And also, I still feel it feels very rushed. Every time I played SOM, I felt like I was on a timer. I had to level fast, so I could gear up in MC fast. I had to get my gold for my potions fast, otherwise I couldn't compete. Everything seems very rushed. SOM in itself felt to me quite rushed.
You kind of get used to that pacing, though, and what happens when there's no content coming out for a while? People get antsy, bro. Like they want the next thing to come out. They want whatever to come out.
I can see that, but I think
That,
the problem
yeah.
is I played both games, and many of us
Exactly.
try
That's
to.
exactly
So
what the
you
problem
have
is.
to commit to something, right? That's
Right.
why I say the timing was, in my opinion, terribly wrong, as in way too fast.
Yeah.
I understand people were waiting for it though, so I guess for them it was just in time. So I can see both sides, but I want to say something about the meta change, because melee obviously don't have it very well in SOM, or not as good as it was in vanilla. And if you look at the new mechanics they added, some of them are just canceling melee out, really. Like
Melee is
stay
still
out.
dominant though, bro. If you look at the top guilds,
Yeah,
they're
true.
all super melee heavy and they're pumping.
But there's like mechanics where you have to stay out of the boss fight for like 30 seconds to lose your stacks and then move back in. I don't
Like which
think
one?
that's
Like
quite a
what
fun mechanic at
for
all.
which one? Like
I
flame
think
gore or whatever that one's called on there.
Golmag it is, right?
Oh, I don't know, bro. You just look at the logs and you see melee blasting. Like
True.
you just
But
see
logs
melee
is one
blasting.
thing, and having a fun mechanic is another thing. If you just have to stand out of the fight for 30 seconds to lose some DPS as a melee, I think that's lazy design rather than a good design.
Sure.
So I feel like the design they did in Molten Core for certain fights it was quite a lazy way to fix melee being on top of the meters all the time by just getting them out of the fight. And as a mage, I didn't mind as much because I could stand out of the mechanics and it was fun for me. But I can see if people are playing warrior or rogue, they don't like it very much. So I hope the BWL design is better than the MC one was.
Yeah, I think the problem though, Dunedain, is not so much. It's the fights already are inherently so mechanically like dumbed down that it would be hard to kind of maybe not hard, but maybe it would be too much to implement something to where it would be kind of fair for everyone in MC at least, right? Where I think with BWL it's a lot more mechanics are a little bit. I mean, we look at Molten Core and it's literally the first iteration of any rating in WoW. So I think for them to kind of like throw something in the mix, and it's not that many fights, I don't think, but I do agree. I think, yeah, maybe they could have done a little bit more there.
Well, here's the thing.
But
They're refining their concept, right? Here's one of the takeaways, and I know because I've actually spoken with some of the people on the Classic WoW team, so I mean, I have a little bit of feedback from them. Like, one of the things in SOM is that it was too consumable heavy. In the same way that world buffs were an annoyance to people,
Yeah.
like the way the fights were designed now is that you really had to bring many more consumables, and it was very costly, and that part wasn't fun. So then they changed it a bit now that you can proc potions now, and it's feeling a little bit better, and it's feeling like people can have the tools they need to perform. And I feel like they're that's my point. I feel like they're refining encounters and the meta based on feedback and making it better.
I agree.
But here's my question to you though, right? As you're playing TBC, probably the biggest weakness of TBC in my mind, because I still think it's a great game, and if S1 wasn't around, I'd be playing TBC, mainly, and I think I could have an absolute blast in it. But TBC to me didn't feel like a World of Warcraft in the sense of like it didn't feel like the world came together in some sort of cool, elegant way where everything matters, all zones matter, in the same way that Classic WoW does. So this morning, I'm farming Elemental Fire, and I'm in Arathi Highlands as a max level character, killing level 30 something elementals because they drop, Elemental Fire. Or you can think of any single zone in the entire game of Classic WoW, of Vanilla WoW, and find a real viable reason to be there as a max level character, either farming or doing something productive, and like a real reason to do that. And in TBC, you have these 315% or 310 speed mounts, and you're just zipping around. You can get around the entire Outlands continent in like 1 minute. And there's only like very small reasons to go back into the old world. There's still some to get like dark runes, demonic runes, stuff like that. But I'm curious your feedback on that, because sometimes you long for that world. That's an important piece. Sometimes you don't, and you can just kind of like play in a vacuum and play TBC and clock in your raids and clock in your arena games and then just tap out. But what do you guys think about that?
I mean, that's the ultimate like draw of Classic, right? Is for me, playing a game where it's so sandboxy, where it feels like the whole world is kind of there. That's pretty much the ultimate draw of Classic WoW, and I think this has been, the argument against, other expansions, whether it be TBC, Wrath, anything like that. Is that it lost a lot of its sandboxiness, right? But the thing that brings me to TBC right now over Classic is, is the rating, it is the the PvP and these things. I think, like, and the community as well, right? So to me, absolutely, there are things about TBC that aren't perfect. There's things about Classic that isn't perfect. And I think another thing is too is, like, I spent a lot of time playing Classic, and I spent a lot of time playing TBC. But TBC to me ends up still being my favorite in terms of how the classes feel, how specs feel, how the rating feels, and what goes on in PvP and stuff like that. But when I'm feeling like I want to just sit down and level and explore the world, like that for me is then playing Classic. And I think I have this really fundamentally like different view of both versions of the game, and I love them both, like, really, I really do. But like Dunedain said, I think one of the biggest problems is why a lot of people aren't playing both right now is because it's very hard to play SOM casually and have that different feel, right? Because like I want to feel the difference of SOM and do the raids and all that stuff, but the speed of it makes it very hard to play Classic and TBC together. And I think and what happens is, a lot of people who, want that Classic feel, they they'll play Classic and they'll have SOM to go to. But for me, at least, the thing that draws me to TBC and keep coming back, and the reason why I think it's so good right now, is because, how good the classes feel and how good the content is currently right now, how good the rating is, and how good the PvP is going on. Like, good feels
Yeah,
right now.
it's a crazy thing. Maybe someone in the chat or you guys have a take on this too. How did they get the PvP scene to blossom again? I feel like that's the type of thing that has a snowball effect. Like, once people get pissed off or frustrated or lose interest, you never get them back because you fall so far behind in PvP, right? Like, the gear is important, very much so. It seems like they introduced one or two catch-up mechanics for gear, which were pretty meaningful. Like, they're pretty. It's basically expediting the gearing process in Arena. I mean, honestly, you could say tenfold. But was that really it? That was enough to just get all these people back into Arena? That's all it would have taken from the start of TBC to get way more people interested in Arena?
I think, I was looking at this, and it's really interesting because I was talking to Navik about this, and initially we thought it was going to be, everyone was going to get their gear, and then they were going to get their off pieces with honor, and everyone would get their shit, and then BGs would be dead, right? And it would be no one's doing BGs, and everyone's just going to be. But I think what's happening now is people, like, when you get rewarded for something, it feels really good. Like, when I log in, Cargos, and I do my daily BG and I do my towers, it feels so good knowing that I just got like 2,000 honor. You know what I mean? And I'm like this much closer to a piece. Now I'm more motivated to even gear my shadow set, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, maybe people thought that, like, and my other characters. So I know right now I can go into a Gruul's Lair on my Hunter, get tier tokens, and turn it in for Season 1 Glad gear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like having all these, and what it does is it makes people want to go back and do all the older raids, right? People, I want to do SSC and TK. I don't need an attunement for it right now, and I can get full Merciless Gladiator on my Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that is pretty sick. Another thing too that came to mind is they did end up banning NG Belt, Skull of Impending Doom, all like the wonky items that were just pissing everybody off, like in Season 1.
Yes.
Those also, but again, I don't think that's the thing that has like widespread mainstream appeal to get people back into Arena, man. I don't know.
But it's a snowball effect. Like you said, it's a snowball effect. Like what happened is it made it a little bit better, or a lot better in a lot of ways, right? And now people are getting into it, and they're like, oh man, I never PvP'd before, but now I might, because I can literally do PvE content to get PvP gear. So what now happens is you're making more people want to do PvE content, in turn do more PvP content, and you're rewarding them at a much quicker pace. And now they're figuring out, oh my god, I'm having fun doing something I never thought I would have fun doing. So many people that I know in my guild who never PvP are PvPing now. And like, I think that it was such a, like when it first happened, a lot of people were like, man, I don't know if this is a good deal, I don't know if it's gonna happen, like, is it? But like now looking at it, implementation, it's been a huge success in my eyes to get people into Arena, to get people into PvP. Like, it's been crazy to see how much of a like fucking change this has caused, and I think they did a good job with it. I really do.
I think the main thing there is, like you say, it makes all trades replayable because you can go back and get your tier tokens and get PvP gear out of it. And in a way, it compares a little bit to vanilla classic phase. What is it, 4 or something, 3, 4, where you have like multiple raids and Zul'Gurub and all that stuff to go back to. And you have a lot of stuff you can do on your main, on your alts, whatever you want to do. And you're not feeling like in phase 1 where it's just Karazhan and Gruul and Maggie, and then you're done. And then if you want to play an alt, you have to go through all the reputation grinding again, which was quite boring. So I think we are in a state in TBC right now where you have so much stuff you can do, be it on your main, be it on alts. You can do PvP, you can go for to raid to get your PvP gear. You don't have to sit in BGs 24/7 to get one piece of gear every month or whatever. Like it felt like that, at least. I know it wasn't, but it just good changes all over the board. New content on top of that, and that's great. But your first question about the open world and stuff, it's super complicated actually. Why is TBC fun now, and why wasn't it before, and why is SOM also quite fun actually to level, but then it seemed not as fun anymore. Super complicated. I think it's not easy to answer on that, but for me a big thing on SOM is if I do something there, it's gonna be deleted, or at least it's not gonna be relevant anymore in like 8 months or so, because it's a season.
That's the thing, though. I think they have this beautiful system where those characters go to Era. They go to the trophy rack. They go to the trophy room, and maybe that's on us to actually utilize those, right? Like we can actually do something, but you do keep that character in the same way you'd be able to keep any character. I don't know. I see a lot of
maybe we have to see how the Era is going to play out, because right now it's just a death realm really, and it's just a trophy room, like you say. And what I like in TBC is if I make an alt, I know it's going to be around for a while, and I know I can eventually probably go to Wrath of the Lich King with that alt, and everything I do with it or do for it, or every time I put time into leveling anything, it's going to be there for a while. And I didn't know that. I think that's super important for me in an MMO, that it's gonna last for a while.
You're kind of right. I mean, I feel there are people in my SOM guild right now that they're only playing SOM, right, and they love SOM, but they're interested in Wrath of the Lich King eventually, and they're like almost begrudgingly having to go level TBC characters because they don't want to miss out and they want to participate in Wrath, but they can't because SOM is like in its own.
It was so funny you said that, because I literally I wanted to talk about this too, and like I feel like it would be so cool if somehow you could bring your SOM character to either TBC or Wrath. Like, not even TBC. Okay, make it so right now, to where when SOM ends, that you can bring your level 60 to Wrath servers. Like, I love, I love Fresh, and I love all this stuff. But like, a lot of people were saying, like, when TBC comes out, let's start Fresh and all this. But for me, I like to continue my character. I've been having so much fun on my Paladin. And I want to be able to bring that Paladin, to Wrath when it comes out. And I think if they somehow did that, connected it to where you could choose where he goes after SOM is over, I think that would be a smart thing to do for them.
Man, a simple change like that would be such a huge thing for me as well. I would, I totally agree on that. I'm not sure if you should go to Wrath immediately. I think that's a good idea. I never thought about it. I was more like thinking, what about if you have like seasons going into expansions or whatever? So you have like a 3-year cycle or something. But what you say is very, very interesting, Defcam.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's tough though. I do see it's a very valid point to want to continue your character and do more stuff. But I also do see value in building that culture up where it's like, it's not about the character and the pixels. It's what you do with the character in that time. It's okay to go again. The game is just as fun, early and late. You don't always have to, I don't know. I like that we're moving towards that direction with seasonal servers right now. And I mean, I would be happy with SOM not being like a huge mainstream game. Like, I'm fine with it just being like a small niche of people who love classic WoW and are just classic WoW Andes through and through, and
Almost has that private server kind of feel to it, right? The smaller community where people play together and people who are really into it. I think the future of seasons is going to be really interesting because I feel like we've learned so much. Like people play the game so much differently than they did back then. For instance, look at the servers. Like I'm forced to think, do people hate World PvP now? Because when you look at the servers, it's all Alliance or all Horde on most of the servers, which makes me think, like, do people not like World PvP anymore?
I mean, I've been that way, bro. I've had that realization for a couple years now, bro. I have.
Right?
I swear on my life, I never craved to play on a PvP server, like, ever. It doesn't even... It's only kind of fun on Fresh for that first week, when everybody's leveling up.
Yeah.
Then it's kind of fun and cool. But past that, and here's the reason why. It's very hard to manage your inventory, your spec, your gear, your itemization for both. I would rather be good at one thing than be shit at both, So if you're going to be a PvE Andy, double down, itemize for PvE, get good stats for PvE. Your inventory and all your consumables should be screaming PvE related stuff. Your action, your bars, your binds, it's all PvE related. It's radically different when you're PvP, So if you're gonna, if you're gonna be a PvPer, you go the opposite end of the spectrum. I don't know, man. That's just how it is for me.
I just want to talk about this for a little bit because this is really interesting. Because like I've played PvP servers from the iteration of WoW to now. Okay, I've mostly played on PvP servers pretty much all the time. And I played on PvP servers that were 50-50. I played on PvP servers that were 70-30 to my favor, against my favor. And all that time, it was the thrill of like looking over your shoulder. Is something going to happen? It's not about like, the servers being completely equal or this, that, and other. We had servers in Classic that were 70-30, 60-40, where the Alliance had a bigger, or the Horde had a bigger. But what happened was, right, the way people play World PvP was a lot different than before because it was all about that grind to get as much honor as you could in that phase, right? Back in phase 2 of Classic. And what ended up happening there is felt like World PvP became more of like a thing where people are getting, like, they feel like they're getting griefed than they were actually having fun, like doing World PvP. Yesterday, I was on Fairlina, right? And what happens is you play on a server where everyone assumes that there's no alliance, and then when you do get ganked, people get pissed because, oh man, it's like 99% Horde, why am I getting ganked? And like a lot of people have gotten used to the fact that they're playing on these 99% Horde servers or 99% Alliance servers, that when they actually even do engage in World PvP, they don't like it anymore because it's like, oh, it's not fair. And like, I feel like this huge shift in the way of thinking about World PvP. I mean, there are some servers out there that have an equal balance in where it is, but I feel like the majority of people have really like had a new kind of like expectation of like what PvP and what World PvP is. And I don't know if that's a lot of people who came from retail where it's the war mode thing and I don't know, but like RP PvP
thing is, if you go PvP spec and you're itemizing PvP, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna stomp people and it's not even gonna be fun. It's like just picking on people and you have all your PvP consumes and it almost feels like cringe that you're just like killing these people that are like leveling specs or PvE specs or rating specs. And then if you're a raider, you feel very like kind of self-conscious because you're so ridiculously weak in PvP. Like, like my hunter has like 3.3k health or something like that, right now because I'm in full, PvE gear. And I don't know.
But getting ganked back in the day was like an expected part of like everyday thing. And like, I feel like now if someone gets ganked, it's like,
it's no longer...
People don't have the time for it. It's like, oh, I don't have the time for this shit. I'm going to play on a server that's, 99% Horde because all my guild's going there and everyone else is going there. I don't have time to deal with this, like, random bullshit or whatever.
Ganking and being ganked for a lot of people is no longer fun. I'll just speak for myself. Yeah. Me ganking somebody out in the open world or getting ganked is no longer fun, really, in any regard. And I love the game still. I mean, I love WoW, and it's not like, it is what it is. It's no knock against anybody. But for some reason, like... I don't know. You just play the game long enough that it just doesn't really titillate you anymore.
See, like, I'm reading what someone said. People enjoying World PvP is extremely small and always has been. I disagree. I feel like World PvP was so much bigger. And I don't know what you guys can attest to this. Dunedain Cargoes. World PvP was so much bigger for me back in the day. Like, there were city raids happening every fucking week. Raiding Ogremar. Raiding, like it happened all the way from fucking, Classic to Wrath. Like, I was on Bleeding Hollow Horde. where we raided the Alliance cities literally every day. There was raids going on. That shit does not happen anymore on these big PvP servers. I play on Faralina, right? People who play on Benediction, like it just does not happen. Yeah, the city raid thing will happen again. And what's up, Bob? In Wrath again when the achievement comes out. But like until then, World PvP to me, and this is my experience of what I play on, has just been such a difference from where it was.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Now there could be. Now World PvP is just dead to me. I literally can't even try to fucking resuscitate it. That's just me though. I'm trying to think, like it's just so unappealing to me, and especially because it kind of like what ties in a little bit to the griefing, mean-spirited nature of people and stuff that like I just. But anyway, my point is. The elephant in the room with classic vanilla WoW, SOM, whatever you want to call it, as far as the thing that needs some refinement, and it's probably one of the biggest criticisms of SOM, was, first of all, PvP being in at launch. A lot of people didn't like that. But on a broader note, the PvP... Yo, can we get a 1 in the chat? If you think the PvP system, the rank 14 PvP system, needs a bit of an update for classic WoW, vanilla WoW. I'm not saying scrap the whole thing, but there's definitely, now that we've opened that can of tuna...
So are you talking about the SOM one or the actual classic?
Well, the same. Like, just, they tweaked it a bit with SOM, but, like, imagine vanilla WoW that did have the TBC PvP system. Would that seem better or worse to you? I'm not sure. I mean, everybody has a different answer. I think it would be... In my mind, it's almost like anything is better than the rank 14 PvP system. Like,
I think Rated Battlegrounds would be cool. Like someone.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, I think that's perfect for vanilla. Yeah. You don't want to add arenas per se, but Rated Battlegrounds would be very nice.
I think that would be awesome. Yep.
Yeah,
I really do, because you could potentially say you do Rated Battlegrounds where you like, okay, maybe you can still work up in rating in normal Battlegrounds, but when you do Rated Battlegrounds, your rating goes up like 5 times more, you know what I mean, per like win. But I think, like you said, a whole different paradigm shift would have to be like the way that honor is used as a currency, not in TBC compared to how honor just gets you up in rank to where you buy gear. I think, something in between that, or maybe something completely different. The way it works in TBC works really well because, you're incentivized to do PvP to get the marks, to get these certain things. And now, the way they changed it where you can turn it in. But, back in Classic, it was all about that grind. And I think a lot of people who, so many people will say, oh, I'm going to get rank 14, but they actually don't do it because they don't realize just how much of a grind it really is,
Yeah. I mean, having to grind 800,000 million honor per week, I don't know. Like, I think just 99% of people just run the numbers on how long that's going to take for them, and they just lose interest in it.
Yeah. It's not like you do that once. It's like multiple weeks in a row and just bad system, really.
Yep. But it was interesting your guys' thoughts on the World PvP thing because it does say a lot about
anything about it, but I feel like TBC and World PvP was never really a thing. In Classic it was, in Rad, or when the achievements came Rad, it became a thing again to raid cities. But honestly, for me, World PvP is just vanilla WoW.
I had a totally different experience. Yeah, in TBC, World PvP was still big for me in TBC, on my server at least.
And I also think many people think they want to have World PvP, or they want to play in a PvP server, but they actually never do it.
Yes.
So there is a valid point there. But then again, the idea of being able to do it, even if you just do it once, it's still cool.
Yeah.
So I still like a PvP server. But honestly, for TBC, I wouldn't mind being on a PvE server. It wouldn't make a difference at all.
Right. It makes no difference now. And I think what someone said in chat, I think one of the biggest differences is the way that the servers are now compared to that. Like having a much larger server right now, where like how it was in the phase 2 in Classic, the servers being so much bigger had such a big effect on PvP, and how everywhere you went there's huge gang parties, right? For the to rank up. And I think the fact that servers are inherently so differently than they were back in Classic is one of the reasons why I think PvP is so different than it was in Classic.
Yeah.
Because we have these mega fucking servers, right? With 10,000 people.
Yeah. Shall we say something about that, because that is also a giant elephant in the room. I think even for SOM it was, especially in Europe, but in TBC it's like it's just one giant mess. I can give an example. Like in Europe, we have one PvP server basically. That's Firema. There's like 35,000 active raiders on that last week, which is a gigantic amount. It's perfectly split, I think, 50-50 Horde Alliance. So there's no complaints on that side. But it's like one big server. Everything else is basically dead or very imbalanced and going to die. So that I don't know how it. Well, I do know how it got there, but the problem now is, since everyone transferred to Firema and TBC got a resurgence, we now have queues on Firema every week or every day even. So if you want to go raid at 7, you have to log in at a quarter before 6. So 1 hour and quarter before. Otherwise, you're in a queue of an hour and a half, and you simply can't play in the evenings. Which is it's if you think about it, I mean, how did we get here? We first had to pay a transfer from Bloodfang because it was dying to get to Firema, and now we're on Firema, and now we can't even play.
Dude, that is absolutely ridiculous if you think about that. That is ridiculous. We've all been like through such a journey. I think we should break this down for a second, right? First of all, the difference in Europe is so weird because your guys' Firemall server, which is like the biggest server, is so even on Horde Alliance. You come to America, okay? Benediction, 98% Alliance. Fucking Faralina, 99% Horde. Gehennis, 98% Alliance. Whitemane, 90% Horde. Like, for whatever reason, the EU servers are, split. I don't know what it had to do.
It's just Firemall.
Yeah,
because, that's the only one. It's the only one.
People logged rating. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. So that's
it's
why,
not the
right?
only
because
one.
Everyone's there. So but think about the journey. I started on Scarum. Scarum was going all. Now I'm on Faralina because it's a place where there's more raiders, but it's also going to be equal. All the alliance went off of Faralina, went to Benediction. And like I've literally heard people who are the biggest no changes. They're like, dude, I'd rather have a system right now that's like retail where all the servers are merged and they have I'm like, are you serious? Like that's how frustrated people are right now.
Yeah,
with the servers.
I get that.
I'd really rather have the retail fucking.
But that's what we have.
It's like you're speaking Chinese to me, bro. I've been playing on low pop servers for so long that I'm not really understanding. So boil down the problems with the mega servers again. Like what are the issues with it?
Yeah, so let's first start with how did we get there, right? So we had a perfectly balanced Bloodfang server, or kind of perfectly balanced, and then Horde started to become a little bit outnumbered. Horde guilds transferred to Firema, and what happened is Alliance was left behind, like 80-20, and apparently people in Europe don't like that. Me neither, honestly. But what happened is multiple Alliance guild transferred to Firema, and eventually the Bloodfang, which was a very nice and healthy server, just died. I think if you log into Bloodfang now and you do /who 1 to 60, there's like 10 players online. So that's what happened on multiple servers. Everyone transferred to the only option, which is Firema. And then TBC was like in a lull a little bit, so it went okay. We had like 3 to 4 layers or something. But the problem is if you play vanilla, one of the big reasons is you want to have like a community, right? On Bloodfang, I knew everyone, or I knew guild names, I knew people. I saw the Enchanter, I knew people like that were annoying, I knew people that were nice. I saw the same names every time. And now I'm on Firema, and I meet someone once, and I never meet him again.
But why'd you guys transfer then? I feel like it's kind of on the community to keep it together. Like we had a meeting even on Obsidian Edge the other day where we were discussing whether or not we want to transfer and stuff. And some of us were a bit sentimental, saying like, we know everybody here, maybe we do want to stay and stuff. Like, I don't know.
But there's no choice.
You guys just stayed.
No, we can't. There's no choice because everyone leaves at some point.
Well, not your guild.
Literally everyone. There's 10 people left.
Yeah, Cargo's like Scarum right now. My old server is completely dead. Like If we would have stayed there, I would not be raiding right now. There would have been no way to keep
We
raiding.
couldn't find new people to raid with. If someone left the guild, then we just had one person less, and we couldn't replace it like ever. So we had to go, and we had to pay for it at that time, and later it became then for free. But so. But I don't want to play on a giant server because people say, well, everyone is playing on the mega server, so people probably like that, and that's not the case. Half the guild doesn't like it, more than half the guild doesn't like it, but we are forced into it because it's the only option. So it's really like it's a giant mess. And now with the queues, it's super annoying. I come home at night and I want to play, I can't. I need to wait an hour in the queue.
But what could Blizzard possibly do to stop all this from happening? Because it just seems like human nature is just running its course, and they're all congregating into one thing, like fleeing from their servers to one, consolidating into one.
No, the easiest fix is not have server transfers like in Classic.
Oh, I see.
We didn't have it in Classic,
True.
and Bloodswing was perfectly fine. We have it in TBC. Everyone moves to one server. It's fucked now.
But it's too late for that now. It's
way too late.
Too late. Yeah. So the thing is like, okay, what has Blizzard done in the past to try to fix these things? Look at retail now, right? They have literally like where servers don't even matter, and they have the sharding and all this other shit. But I don't think that's the answer either, right? So, because then you have like one I mean, listen, in Classic it was different where servers like were so much of like what your server was so different no matter where you went. But now maybe it's getting to the point where I don't know. Maybe it's not even. I literally am so at my wit's end with like how to fix this, and that the idea of having like servers anymore that had a feel to it, like Scarum, Grobulus, had like a really core.
That's why you have that
server
seasonal
where,
servers, bro, because then it resets after a year, and then it's a circle.
Well,
of
that's
life.
the thing,
Boom,
right?
bye,
Whereas TBC, it's not like that. So it's like, where do we go from here? I don't really.
So how they
know.
can fix it? I've been thinking a lot about it because it's. I mean, if we go with Pharma into Rat, we're gonna have 16-hour queues or something. It's gonna be ridiculous. So they have to do something. They probably won't, I feel, but whatever. But in my opinion, the fix is delete every server and start over and let people choose a server when Rat launches. It's simple as that. Delete what we have now. Let people choose something new. And
then
keep
what?
your
Lock
character.
them in from there, so that once you're there, you're there for good.
Yeah, and they have to cap the servers because we cannot have servers with 35,000 traders on it. If you log in past 4 p.m. or something in a major city, try to search the auction house, it's impossible because the lag is getting extremely high. And if you log in at peak time 7-8 p.m., have fun in major cities because you can't do anything. It's like you can't search the auction house.
I feel like
not
to
made
most
for
people
it at all.
Most people love that though about big servers. I'm with you though, Dunedain. I actually like playing lower or
honestly,
medium power.
I disagree. They don't.
Really? Don't they
We
love...
don't play on the server because I mean we are a whole guild and many of us are on that server because we're forced to be on that server, not because we like it. We were forced to be on that server.
Some people do like it though. Some people do.
So a lot of people just love being able to find like pug groups whenever they want, like for like, I want to run SM right now, bro. Let me get 5 people together and run,
But here's what's crazy: there have been servers like there are now on private servers that were better at dealing with lag than Blizzard is. How the fuck is that possible? Like, explain that to me. I don't understand how that's even possible.
How some private servers are more stable than Blizzard servers? I don't know if they are. They used to crash a lot, bro. I don't know. Like Nostalrius wasn't really up.
Well, okay, so like when I was on Lights Hope, right, back in when it had like 20 or so thousand people on it, we would go into Blackrock Mountain and have these huge fucking Alliance versus Horde battles that literally would not lag out. We tried to do the same thing on Classic when it came out on a server that had half
true, bro.
On
my god, remember that actually? That was phase 2 of Classic, right? And it was a slideshow for everybody. It was literally unplayable for like 1 week. I know a lot of people remember that. That was I totally forgot about that.
How that's possible? How is that even possible?
Yeah.
Well, private servers. I mean, Firemaw has like, if it's 35,000 traders, it has probably like 80,000 people playing on it. So that's like, I mean, private servers were 15,000 at best.
Right, but like obviously, they have layers now, and like people aren't all in one area like they were now. But Faralina it gets to the point now where you're in the major city, and the lag is pretty bad. But so going back to what you said, Dunedain, about like having this possibly that where all servers get reset, choosing new servers, and what would the ideal limit be on a server?
That's a pretty hard question, but personally, I feel something like 5K would be nice. I think many people would like it a bit higher, so I can settle on something like.
I think if you
7K
polled everybody though, bro, I feel like most people like the mega servers. Like they just want like a gigantic, like they're traumatized from their servers dying and stuff. That like
I think
if you just
right.
polled, if you just polled the average WoW gamer, they just want the most congested fucking shithole, dude. Like they just
I'm sorry, I can't understand why you would want to sit in the 2-hour queue, then have a leg fest all evening long, and then don't know anyone on your server. That's not like a social game.
So the queue is definitely an issue for a lot of people, but I think what the biggest issue is people don't want to go on a server where the cap is 5K, and then a month later, 500 people playing on that server.
Obviously, but I mean, during vanilla, that was not the case because you know why? There were no transfers available. I mean, it's not that hard to fix it.
Here's a quick aside. I'm only bringing this up because I'm gonna forget if I don't say it right now because I'm a goldfish. But and this has been something I've been meaning to get out there. But you remember Def Camp how much I used to complain about multi-boxing, or how I used to complain about I don't know, we used to complain about lots of stuff. Like look at Classic, right? Mages being so broken, the boosting meta and all this. This is all stuff I participated in, by the way. It's just, also wasn't great for the game, right?
Right.
With SOM, they have removed all of that, bro. Like, I'm telling you, people are sleeping on SOM. I think it just was too early, like you said, for most people to play Classic WoW. But there is no boosting meta. It does not exist. You go into a dungeon with a high level, you get like 1 XP. You know? Mages are broke. It's pretty cool. Yeah. They're not doing croc farms. They're not, well, I mean, ZG's not even out, but they're not doing any of the one pull stuff. They're not boosting anybody. Zero mage meta. Zero boosting. I don't feel like there's a lot of bots. I mean, I was playing on Obsidian Edge. I don't know if you guys see a lot of bots on Jam Gabar and other servers. I didn't see a lot of bots, to the point that there are people wishing there was bots so they could go buy like Frostmaw Ecos off the auction house. Or they could go buy, like we need a few bots here so we can have more stuff on the auction house. Dude, they fixed so much about the game, man.
I just came to a realization. I think you're right. I think what happened was like they learned so much from Classic and where they are now. But and I feel like maybe, man, is it too late? But like they're learning a lot. I feel like they're finally learning things that people have been trying to tell them for so long, and maybe a lot of them is on them too. But the fact of the matter is, right, is like they could do everything perfect on SOM. It's about the hype, and is it fresh enough? Is it different enough? When people were asking for Classic Plus, I think a lot of people wanted to see like new content into Classic. I mean, I think it's a great thing that they're doing this and they're learning a lot. But I think what it comes down to, and Dunedain said this earlier, and you guys, like, having so many different options is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, right? Because now you have people who are playing SOM or playing TBC or playing fucking retail, and I think the main reason why SOM is in the state it's in right now, because like you're right, they're doing a lot of good things there, they're making a lot of good changes, is just because people were just not ready for that, especially with TBC being available right now. I just think it was just too soon to come into it.
Even I could see that, because I still if SOM wasn't announced and stuff, I would have just like kept playing TBC like you guys, and just been playing it, and probably played season 2 and done all that. SOM did derail me from it. I'm super happy because, like I said, I've loved SOM, and I feel like Blizzard's done honestly a phenomenal job in a lot of ways. So, I'm playing season 2, bro. I don't know.
How do you feel like going forward? They should should they release new stuff like say Wrath of the Lich King comes out? Would you like to see a new season at the very same day, or how do you see that?
I hope that Blizzard has got it through their thick skull by now that people do like fresh, and there actually is a lot of appeal to fresh. So I pray they do a Wrath Fresh, man. Like they were kind of severely trolling by not doing TBC Fresh, and as we all look back on it, the boost was a huge mistake.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, if you disagree, type it in the chat, make your case, bro. But the boost was a massive mistake. It stunted TBC's potential. IMO.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's still livable. It's not the end of times. You know, we don't have to be like ultra doom or doomsayers about it. But but just looking back at it, all things considered, it had massive implications on the game. There was no fresh for TBC. A fresh for TBC would have been extremely packed. Probably be the most popular server if there was a fresh TBC. Even the sweatiest people that had the most gear, they wanted fresh. A lot of them did.
So what are you? So you're saying have the option of where you continue your character over from TBC to Wrath, but also have fresh servers, right?
Yes, I just think they need fresh.
I think you have both. Yeah, I think because like for me, I would hate to lose Defcamp, my character, but at the same time, it'd be pretty cool to join a fresh Wrath server as well and do both. And the boost, like you said, not only was the boost a horrible thing, but the mount, dude. Imagine it like come Wrath, they do a boost and then they do like a fucking reskin Invincible or some shit. Like how many people would literally that would be the worst thing they could ever do. Horrible. So like I hope they learn from their mistake that the boost, even though a lot of people took it and used it, so many people hated it. Like people felt like they were forced to do this to get the boost because they wanted to get to end game quicker. They wanted to, you know what I mean? And I understand.
They should have just had their cake and eat it too, bro. They should have had the boost. They could have had the boost, but then also offered a fresh option. Like the whole time we were watching BlizzCon live and in the aftermath of that, it's always like we're scratching our head why Blizzard never even talked about fresh one time. Remember, like we were watching BlizzCon and we were like, it's almost like they were hiding it or something, bro. I don't know, not to be weird, but. I hope that they do a Wrath Fresh this time around, as well as.
But what about the timing though? So, do you feel like
Q4
if they launch Wrath, do they wait a few months before season 2 of Classic starts, or how do you see that? Is it that on the very same day they launch?
Well, 1 year from when did SOM come out? SOM came out. Oh, I see what you mean. It did come out winter time. So if Wrath comes out Q4. Are they going to do Season 2 SOM? Everybody's going to be playing Wrath. I'll play SOM, though, but I fucking love SOM, bro. People are sleeping on it, I'm telling you, man. I don't know if people... The meta was shaken up. They improved many things about Classic WoW. The game is super fun. The pacing is improved in many ways. And we always have Era. We always have our comfy historical museum. We have... the comfy plate, we can always go back there and experience everything at 1x, and they have it as the trophy rack. You can go back anytime you want. But SOM is super good. And here's a question I have for you and for the chat as well. TBC pacing. How do you feel about the TBC pacing? Personally, I think that phase 1 was still really fun for me. I enjoyed it. But a lot of people are saying it took way too long to get into the next stuff. Like, do they just need to kind of ramp up the pacing with things? And
Well, I think TBC right now, Phase 3 can take a while, Zulaman can take a while, and the last one as well, because we have a lot of content. But the first 2 were a little bit tiny phases, right?
Yes.
So maybe that took a little bit too long. But I would just slightly shorten it. I think TBC might be a little bit too slow, but Classic SOM is, for me, too fast. So something in between.
Yeah. I think they have to be very careful what they do in Wrath for season 1 of Wrath, because so many people have done fucking Nax in Classic that a lot of people are going to. I know there's other stuff to do in the first season of Wrath when it comes out, but so many people have done Nax now. It's not like it was back then where no one did Nax, and now everyone was able to redo it. So hopefully the first season of the first phase of Wrath is going to be quicker, and hopefully they learn from that, because that could potentially make a lot of people leave Wrath before the real Wrath
before it gets
really
good.
begins.
Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely. You need to have a little bit of content available to your main and your alts, like we explained before. If you have enough raids available, it's going to be fun. And if you have just what's it called, Nax? That's going to be a tough one.
another thing as well is there's a lot of lockouts come Wrath. Like when later on in Wrath, when you get different versions, 25-man, 25-man heroic. Are they going to have some kind of difference there? There's a lot of things they could do with Wrath, and this is why, again, Cargos, I think SOM is so important. Is because what SOM does is allows Blizzard to experiment with things.
Yeah, SOM is where it's at, bro.
Fucking important.
They're tinkering with the game on SOM. They're not going to change TBC much. They're not going to change Wrath much. They got to kind of recreate it. SOM, they rolled up the sleeves. They're going in there. They're tweaking stuff. They're making meaningful changes. There's going to be season 2, which is going to be even better. Classic Plus. I think Scotty J made a video on this the other day, saying that if there is a Classic Plus, the only iteration of the game that can take place would be in Vanilla WoW. You can't do Classic Plus in TBC. No, Classic WoW is where it's at. It's the best game of all time. It literally ages like a fine wine, or what's a fancy liquor?
Chateau de Meux.
Yeah. I don't know, bro. A fine whiskey in an oak barrel. I don't know, man, but it honestly is such a good game, bro. The longer you play Classic, I swear, sometimes you get burned out at it, of course, but you find new weird reasons about why it's the best game ever, man. I really do. I really do feel that way.
Let's play with this a little bit. I think that a new season should be as fucking out there and crazy as possible. Honestly, I really do. To make more people want to come and play. I think the more you I always want to have a pure Classic. I always want to have that available, but I think they should go balls to the fucking wall.
But why? To appeal to the tourists who are going to leave anyway? It's like you're forcing people to like a game that they don't really like that much. So you're going to change it and make it like a Frankenstein, and you're going to fucking put
What
clown
I'm saying
hats on
is
everybody.
Okay. So the thing is, Cargos, right? Is we have the SOM the way it is now, right?
Yeah.
We have Classic. Why not do something that is Classic at heart, right? Keeps a lot of the core values of Classic, kind of they did with SOM, but do something that I'm talking about doing even new content, having fucking new raids.
Yes.
Explore that option. Have new raids. Have new content. I think that would be fucking.
And the thing is, there actually is the space on the map in Classic WoW for new raids and new stuff, right? So don't they have a couple zones that are on the map that there's nothing there, right?
And you have Hygel, you have fucking you can even do a Hygel that's different from the current Hygel in TBC. You can have a Karazhan that's different from the current Karazhan in Ashara. Yeah, do something that has the core values of Classic that everyone loves about it, but new don't even make a new retail expansion. Just do this, man. Put all the eggs in one basket.
SOM is the future, boys. It is seasonal WoW. We're probably gonna get hardcore servers next season. I do believe that. I've sort of been talking to them a little bit, hoping, trying to get a little sense of it. If I was a betting man, I would bet that there's gonna be a Soul of Iron layer or a server next season too. So that's coming. And you have to understand the idea that Blizzard committed to seasonal WoW gives WoW an indefinite and kind of hype runway or of longevity. You don't know what they're going to do with TBC. After TBC is there for a while, they're going to go into Wrath. What, they're going to go into Cataclysm, then Pandaland? You don't know if they're going to reset TBC or Wrath.
Yeah.
Some, they committed to the seasonal. There's going to be season 1, season 2, season 3. It may not be a huge community and stuff, but it might almost be like Diablo with seasons. But I don't know, man. Some people are sleeping on Som. People are bandwagoners, right? And people love it. I've been shitting on Som a lot recently. You got to look between the cracks to see the differences in Som between era in the meta, and there's a lot there.
I would. It's also, I would like to see a lot of things, and I wonder if there's enough players to have all those things. So I would like to get Rad. I would like to be able to play TBC in the future again. I would like to play the original Classic in the future, and I would like to see what DevCamp has in mind with Classic Plus. So that's probably way too much. I don't know, but as long as there's one server available that is full, it's probably fine, right? Because SOM is not a huge population, and it worked just fine. But in my mind, what would be cool is to have, I think 1 year cycles are too short, honestly, but have 1.5 year cycles on seasonal servers and have them go through the 3 expansions, but just release a new Classic Vanilla every 1.5 year, be it with Classic Plus or whatever. and then move it into TBC Plus or whatever, and release a new classic fresh, move the other TBC one to rad, and so on.
That
so you
does
have like
sound really
3
fun.
cycles going on, and people can choose. But they should release it all on the same day, in my opinion, so you don't have the issue where half the guilds thinks, oh, there's a new fresh thing coming out,
Yep.
let's do that, and let's abandon what we have now. So people choose on one day every 1.5 year. This 1.5 year, I'm going to play Rat, and next 1.5 year, I have a new opportunity, and I can choose to play TBC now, or I can choose to go back to Classic Plus or whatever. See?
Yeah, true. Here's the thing. Because we have Classic Era preserved in stone, it's the trophy hall. You can go there. You can take a walk through history. You can go back and play the game as it was. Or, there's still some changes between Classic and Real Vanilla, right? Because we have that, though, and it's encapsulated, I'm in the boat with changes, man. I like the changes.
Yes.
We have 100% XP bonus for quests live on SOM. Remember how much I was crying? I initially thought it was a bad thing. I was wrong, dude. I like the increased pacing, man. I like the increased pacing. I feel like sometimes Classic WoW does drag its feet a little bit. They're dropping one more piece of gear per boss. Did you hear about the Defcam?
Yes.
So boss is dropping one more piece of gear, and you got potions procking. This is making Classic WoW exciting, man. It's improving the pacing. I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it.
Call me a dreamer.
Right.
I've been thinking about something in the last few minutes, and call me a dreamer. Maybe this is too much. Maybe this is too far. But I just want to put it out there.
Yeah.
So imagine a world, right, where you had the seasons, but you had something else, right? So all the elements that we love about SOM, right? The creativity, the changing, but the core of what Classic is still, right?
Mm-hmm.
Create a world where it's like, call it Classic Plus, call it whatever, where they incorporate all these amazing things about, the SOM and about TBC and about Wrath, and make a game where you have, the diversity of TBC Wrath style, classes, and you could explore so much, in the Classic world, right? In the sandboxy Classic world, where you could do low-level raids, right? Like someone was saying, I think it was Tuna, a level 20 raid where you go in there and you're doing a fucking Cobalt mine, you get 10 people together, you have all these elements of like what Classic is, lower-level raids, all the way, you could have fucking horizontal progression with it too as well. All these different things where you have the world of Classic, you have extra raids though. You have, they bring out, fucking, what is the place?
Lower level raids. It sounds dope. Actually, yeah, you're right, Def Camp. That actually does sound so dope.
How cool does that sound to have a world where there's lower level raids, different like raids at level 20? You guys like what they're doing with Noob Core right now. Potentially have kind of like a fucking Shadow Fang Keep fucking raid, but expand upon it. Expand upon all these things that we love so much.
We just want a reason to go back to go into these old dungeons too, right? Like
exactly.
So what they did with the raids in SOM, right, is they shook it up enough that the strats had to change, things had to change. They basically reinvigorated the feeling of progression. Even though it's the same boss, they tweak things around a little. That's all you need to do, really, though, right?
Exactly.
And if you did the same thing for some of the dungeons and stuff too, right? Like we love these dungeons, like Dead Mines and Wailing Caverns and stuff. But it is literally to the pixel the exact same thing every single time with no RNG or like there's nothing that gives it any like spark, like the interesting spark, right? It'd be really cool if they could put a little bit of a twist in there.
Think about how casual friendly that would be too, Cargos. People could come in there and experience raiding at level 20 instead of getting all the way to level 60, right? You could do that and then like make the world explorable again. Make it so that like when you go somewhere, you bring 10 friends with you, you fucking raid SFK, you have this huge fucking and like, but also you can have the elements that make TBC and Wrath so great. And I think if they did that in the Classic world, have the elements of Noob Core, have the elements of SOM, have these elements of so many things together all in one, would be a game so fucking good, dude. Yeah. That it would be the real predecessor, the real child of what Classic was. You know what I mean?
I'm down.
That is what we need.
But that's SOM though. That's SOM. That's Classic Plus. Like that's the future, man. Like
yes, it's the future exactly. And I think SOM has been the experiment of. I think let that experiment keep going, but build something like this. Like, dude, I like forget about retail. Like, put all these eggs in this basket. I'm telling you guys, it'll fucking succeed. Like lower level, the game needs to be more accessible to people who want to do lower level stuff like that, like new core. That's why I think it's such a cool idea. It's so cool, but also have that end game, for people who love that as well. And I think, yes, it's good to have more choices, and I'm not saying you have to have something for everyone, but like we see in TBC right now, having more things to do, having more choices does make the game better. It does.
It does. Dev Camp, let me ask you a question though. Let me ask everybody who's listening right now a question. Is TBC a vacation or is TBC home? Is Wrath a vacation or is Wrath home? Is Cataclysm a vacation or is Wrath home? Or is it home? They all feel like very fun, exciting resort vacations when you go to TBC or you're playing Wrath or any of these other things. But home is Classic WoW, man. Is vanilla WoW. It's not even close, bro. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Can anybody say in TBC is TBC home, man? That is just.
For me, it's home right now.
For me, it is as well.
Yeah, but like
we
the
evolved
world,
from Classic as well. It's like a journey, and we have been on that journey for a couple of years, and we will go to Rad, so it's still home. And SOM is less home to me because it's like I mean, it's gonna go to the era server or whatever, but it will stop at some point. But I see what you're saying as well, because vanilla WoW that's the real deal, really, and that's in essence it's better than TBC. I can't speak for Rat yet because it's too long ago since I experienced it. But in essence, vanilla is a better game than TBC. But TBC has a lot of unfinished business for me, and it's very, very fun as well.
Yeah,
well said.
As a fun experiment.
No, it's still home.
No. I was about to say, like, as a fun experiment. Can you think of any zone in Classic WoW that isn't like useful to go to at max level? And you may not see where I'm coming, why I'm even saying this point, but it's one of the most glorious things about vanilla WoW that all these zones are impactful from the early levels as you're leveling through them, as well as at endgame. There's reasons to either travel or spend time in every one of these zones. All the zones, it's all like part of an ecosystem, and it all comes together. And if you don't think there's a reason to go to these zones, you probably didn't do the right profession, or you probably don't have experience with a certain profession. If you factor in all the different professions, all the different consumables you need for raid, every dimension of the game, twinking or raiding, PvE, PvP, there's reasons to go to every single one of these zones. We're looking at Westfall right now. Westfall, you would go to Westfall, target dummies, magic dust. Magic dust is a big one. Yeah. They used to have murlocs that have those nets that you would throw in PvP. I think they took those out. You could do it with every zone, man. And that's one thing I really like about vanilla WoW.
I understand what you're saying, Kirk. Like the classic Azeroth is always home, right? And I think that's why it's so important to try to expand upon that. Like, make going to Westfall be this epic fucking thing where you explore the dead mines and have it be this raid, and I think like they could add so much to what classic is already, with bringing in so many different elements that they've learned through doing SOM, through doing TBC, through doing Wrath. And that's why I think so many people are, when you hear about Classic, when you think about Classic, I think about the images we're seeing right now, like Red Ridge Mountains, Westfall, all these places that to me mean so much more than Netherstorm or, I mean, the Grand is amazing and all that, but like the stories that I've had there, the experiences that I've had there are very deep and very rich. And if they could expand upon that, imagine, right? Expanding upon that in an exponential way with what they've learned.
It's hard to expand upon it, though, because sometimes if you expand upon something, you add too much, it might throw off the equilibrium of what makes it so amazing.
Yes.
If you increase the power level to a certain point. Like, I don't think that they did this intentionally, guys. I think it was actually just raw luck that it all mapped out this way. But the fact that the low-level shit is still extremely good at max level, like whether you're talking about consumes or whatever, like even just we were talking yesterday about Nature Protection Potion, how it's just a life root and a strangle kelp, and you're using it in BWL, and it's like way better than greater Nature Protection Potion because it's so cheap. Like, you can a lot of these low level consumes are still good at max level, or low level items that you get like magic dust or sorry, like sticky glue, or marbles. No, I feel you. I want to expand upon it too, Def Camp. I want to expand upon it too, but like,
They have to be very
you got to be
careful.
careful.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Because it could end up to like a cataclysm type thing where they change the barons and it's like totally fucked. You know what I mean? No,
Yeah.
you want to encapsulate what is so good about a zone and expand upon that. Like I said, like having like lower level raids that can help you explore the zones and things like that. So yeah, it's something that has to be done with a lot of care and a lot of finesse. But we see with how they're like the teams right now. You can say what you want about Blizzard, but the people that work on SOM, the people that work on TBC, I think are the people that could do this kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
We talked to a lot of these guys. We've had conversations with them. They're very passionate about the fucking game. These developers who are working on SOM,
they are,
and I think they're able. I would trust these guys with doing something like that. I would.
I do believe that, bro. And we used to say that like no one would ever trust Blizzard to touch it.
Yeah.
A lot has changed since then. Some of our early GMA episodes, they're communicating a bit more. Like I speak with a couple members of the Classic team, and I'm not really any big shot or anything like that. And I still talk to them, and they're asking for feedback. The other day, one of the Classic people messaged me and were asking, they're saying, what do you think the hardcore community would feel about the 100% XP bonus? And just trying to get like some feedback from the community. Before, I don't know, man. I feel like they're probably at Blizzard feeling like people are like they're trying their best to make something really cool here with SOM. And my gut feels like they feel like people are kind of spitting in their face or like thinking they're horrible or they're doing a really bad job.
I think that's been
at
all
Blizzard.
Of Blizzard's life. They've had that.
That's not true.
Well, there's always been criticism, no matter what. No matter what time it was.
The best gaming company.
Yeah,
and obviously you have criticism, but it used to be like Blizzard. If they make a game, it will be a good game, like majority speaking.
But if you look at the forums, what I'm trying to say, like the disrespect and the spitting, that shit has happened all the time. Like
that's true. That's true.
But the look of what Blizzard is now is definitely different than it was back then. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Well, I might be stuck in my own problems here, but as long as that realm situation is going on, I don't trust them still. I'm sorry. I can't see how we have to pay for a transfer to be in a full realm and then have to pay again, and I feel it's really shit.
Yeah. So I don't know, Dunedain, for me at least, like I see a separation when it comes to like, I don't know, maybe it's not this way, but I feel like a lot of those decisions that are made based on like, because let's be honest, a lot of the server shit, they make a lot of money off transfers, you know what I mean? And I think that is more of a less design philosophy kind of thing, and more of like, I think someone else is in charge of that kind of stuff that's probably getting a direct order, who knows, from someone else higher. But I don't know. So and then you guys see the stuff that was on the launcher not too long ago, like the behind the scenes video. So the guy who did the development of the original Black Temple cinematic, they had a like behind the scenes thing of like of him making it back in the day, and it was just so cool to see. So this was a fan who had made machinimas back in vanilla, who was hired by Blizzard to make like all this Black Temple cinematics, all this kind of stuff, and it was on the launcher, and it was like a behind the scenes kind of thing to it. And I think it was such an interesting look in like a developer's eyes, and like someone who has loved the game just as much as us, and like those kind of people, the people that like that guy, I forget who his name was, and the people that we've talked to, I feel like care about this game as much as we do. But unfortunately, there are decisions that are above them that I don't think they have the influence to do. And I think hopefully what's happening now is like people are being a little bit more open, because Blizzard is obviously going through a lot of changes right now, to maybe hopefully listen to some of these people more and listen to the community more as well, which I think they have been outreaching a lot more people. But I don't know, watching that video of like it was so nostalgic for me, and it's just so cool to see that. If you guys haven't watched it, you should check it out. It was just like a behind the scenes kind of thing about the Black Temple cinematic.
I'll definitely check it out. That sounds
interesting.
Yeah.
You should link
really
it maybe.
cool.
so I can watch it later.
Yeah. Let me see.
I want to. I know I'm like beating a dead horse here, but I want to say one more thing about the servers, like the very last thing, because you guys said if you do a poll, majority might want to play in a mega server. I think maybe that's true, and if that's true, I think that's true because everyone who doesn't want to play on a mega server left because they didn't want to pay the transfer or they don't enjoy it. And I think that's a lot of people, and you underestimate the amount of people that really want to have that nice, cozy, vanilla WoW community feeling on a server. And those people, most of them, or a lot of them, are simply gone because it's not available anymore. It's quite important to have those people back on board if you want to have like, a successful future of Classic as well.
A lot of people are probably just traumatized too from their servers constantly dying over and over again, or at least their perception is their servers dying or getting, bad, or they're unable to play the game in the way they want. So they are gravitating hard and heavy right now towards mega servers, but maybe they spend some time in these mega servers and realize that, hey, like, there is some piece of the WoW experience that's missing here. I kind of miss the smaller, more intimate community I had before, and maybe it'll balance out more.
I hope there's an option in the future, and it's a good option, like a dead save option, if as far as that's possible. But I think that is possible. If they think about it really well, it should be possible.
Yeah. So there's two parts of me that enjoy WoW. There's one side of me that's kind of just, kind of like more competitive and I want to perform and actually just get in there and think about mechanics and itemization. That's so fun to me. And there's the other part of me that just loves WoW like artistically, and I just think it's the most beautiful game I've ever seen. And the music and the zones and the ambience I'm speechless. I can't even find the words to describe them. Like, Mezio made this compilation here, and some of these shots are just amazing. And I would love to see them touch up the vanilla WoW world. I don't talk about reskin it and make it look like Draenor. I'm talking about just get in there and refine some of these. You see some jagged edges in vanilla WoW, and a lot of times, or some of the grass textures are like kind of like copy pasted over.
Yeah.
What if they just went in there and kind of just gave it a little 2022 touch up, man? Made things a little bit nicer looking, a little more fidelity to the graphics. And they just spruced up the world a little bit. I feel like a lot of us who enjoy classic WoW are kind of like, boomers or whatever, or we're a little bit older now, and we have the type of mind and perspective that would appreciate that stuff a lot, And I'm not talking about change the art style. You're going to say no?
Yeah. I'm going to say, think of the new character models, compare them with the ones we have in Classic.
Right. We're not talking about like that, Okay. I'm talking about you just zoom in close in Classic WoW and you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see the 2004 all over it. Yeah. So if they can somehow give it a nice veneer, and because these zones are beautiful, man. They still are beautiful. They've stood the test of time. Don't change the art style. Don't redo the models. I'm just talking about getting in there and making the shingle on that inn in Menethil Harbor just a little bit nicer, and just do
as
that
long as it has the same look and feel, totally. But please don't make it look and feel like retail, because honestly, no.
I agree with dude. I think that's another thing. Like, it's very important that I think be specific, because a lot of times, say, oh yeah, we want to make it look fresh can of paint, but we also don't want it to look like retail. You know what I mean? Like how the character models look there, because there is a very big difference with the way that things look in Classic and the way that things feel compared to retail. And I think, it would be really, really, really nice to see, some upgraded, pixels and that and other, but also keep the element of what Classic, and how it feels like to have that, the darkness, kind of the dreariness that you see right now in Menethil, to keep that effect
100%,
making you feel cartoony or kind of,
It's like when you buy a house, an older house, and it still has some of the fixtures on that looks like it's from, the 70s or 80s or whatever. You have to get in there. You have to update the brass fittings into, stainless and wrought iron. You got to go and change out the avocado green tub. You got to, little things like that would, oh man, imagine they did Classic Plus with that, and it's kind of new and fresh looking. You could look at this game. You could look at this. Imagine you could look at Classic WoW, and it doesn't look dated to you. Like, it looks stylized, sure, but it looks current,
I had the perfect thing to draw to. So exactly what they did with Diablo 2. They kept the feel of of Diablo 2 Resurrected. They kept the feel of Diablo, but gave it a fresh coat of paint and made it like I think they did such a good job personally with what they did with Diablo 2 Resurrected and how they made it still feel like Diablo 2, but were able to see things that you never saw before, like the fucking garlic shit and all that kind of stuff. To do that with a Classic Plus would be, in my mind, amazing.
Yeah, same, bro. We can only dream, right? That's
Yeah.
If I could do one thing now, like snap my fingers, Aladdin, 3 wishes out of a genie, and somehow be able to change WoW. Number one for me would be that, because my inner childlike sense of wonder desperately wants to see this beautiful game, with a touch up, man. I just think that would be so exciting, bro. Like, I'm not saying you see these Unreal Engine redos of the zones. That's obviously like too
Yeah.
extreme, is too much, But if they could make this game, polish it up a bit, I couldn't. There's nothing else I would want more, honestly. Yeah, I'd love to see it and go through the zones and be able to appreciate all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So speaking of zones, if you think about Wrath of the Lich King, what's your feeling about that?
What do you think, Deb?
I am really excited for Wrath. So I decided that I'm going to be doing something different in Wrath, and to a lot of people who know me, this is probably going to be really big. But I decided that for the first time in 17 years, am not going to main a healer. I'm going to be maining a tank in Wrath, and I'm really looking forward to doing something different.
Paladin?
And no, I'm going to go
Oh.
bear. I'm going to go bear.
Okay,
Yeah. I mean, I say this now, I'll probably end up healing. If you guys know me, I'll probably just end up fucking healing again. But honestly, I'm really looking forward to do something different. I had a lot of fun in Wrath. This is when Melvin and I first made our first guild in Wrath. You know, I love TBC and I love Wrath as well. I feel like Wrath is very good at making each class feel like, they're special in some way. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Wrath. I think it's going to be big. I think a lot of people are going to come back for it. I think it's hopefully they do some things to make it, not like I said, we have to worry about, what's going to happen in phase 1 with, Nax being out and, other things that have, weren't the best in Wrath, right? Like Trial Crusader, I wasn't a big fan of that raid, but, I loved ICC. I loved, and like
Old
you know, Ulduar, to see hard mode again implemented, like that would be pretty cool. There's so many different things I think that, we have to look at with Wrath that are, important in their each right. But for right now, all in all, I'm just really excited. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too, and I try to always like posture check myself to make sure I'm not bandwagoning too hard, because it's not good to do that all the time, right? Like, you want to be natural with your feelings and stuff, but sometimes you don't really want to get swept up with. And I do feel like some people were like bandwagoning to Wrath almost preemptively, and maybe I did that a little bit too with TBC. I'm not sure. Maybe not, though, honestly. I've always tried to like check myself with, am I bandwagoning it too hard? I don't think I am. Like, I think it's honest and genuine excitement for Wrath. And it's because Wrath came out for me, senior year of high school. And I had really fond memories playing that game with my roommates. I love the zones, the music, the art. It does pop out at me. It sticks out to me. I haven't been in these zones in a long time. I know you can just jump in and I'm on retail, right? But I don't think I've been to like Dragon Blight or Grizzly Hills, obviously, or Borean Tundra or the Skolazar Bay. I don't think I've been to those zones. Maybe since Wrath, dude. So just being able to see them again and, and mine the little blue ore, again.
I would say,
Sorry,
between TBC and Rats, I'm sorry to interrupt you,
no worries,
but the zone design, like,
And dungeon design.
yeah, that as well. But compare any TBC zone with like Howling Fjord or something, it's like it looks maybe a lot more like the original vanilla zones. Like, there's more attention to detail. You have like very nice music. You have like little towns left and right. That's something I really look forward to. Sorry I interrupted you. So
no worries. I talk too much. I think everybody wants to hear more from you. If any Dunedain. Def Camp, I like to talk a lot. But so you are more excited for Wrath than TBC, or comparatively, or what's your feeling?
I think comparatively, at first I wasn't really, because Wrath also brought a lot of bad things in my mind, at least, like Dungeon Finder is one of the big things. If you think about the raids, you have 2 very nice ones, but you have 2 very bad ones, or very bad, like less good ones. And then you have like the class homogenization coming in. there's a lot of things that start to go wrong in TBC. In Rat, but at the same time, it's not there yet where you start feeling like, oh shit, this is really not fun anymore. The class design is still nice. If you go one step further, it's starting to become really bad. But at that point, it's still nice, even though it's a little bit more homogenized. They add so many nice abilities. Think of warriors with whirlwind, blade storm.
Did they have Titan Grip in Wrath?
Yeah. Those things.
Yeah.
It's super amazing abilities. Think of all the paladins.
I remember that
Beacon
blew
of Light.
my fucking mind. I remember. I feel like there's some people watching right now that remember where they were in the world when they heard of Titan Grip. Like that shit
amazing.
literally blew my like the synapses in my brain overloaded when I first heard. I was like, you can what? You can wait, what? You can dual wield two-handers?
Mm-hmm. They also fixed a lot, I feel like, in Wrath, like with tanking. Wherein, we saw TBC where Paladins, got really, really well, and especially in this tier now currently. But the addition of multiple tanks getting defensives, and having another tank with DKs, and something for me that I really love about Wrath is the class design feels so good on each class, right? For me, like the classes that I play, Discipline becomes really a lot of fun. You can basically fucking shield the whole raid. Then you have the addition of glyphs, right? So Holy Paladins, get Glyph of Holy Light, which makes them turn into like an amazing, raid healer with also the addition of Beacon. So you have, there's addition things. But for me, the things that I'm most excited in Wrath, other than the zones, like I said, the zones are fucking amazing. The dungeons. Wrath dungeons for me, just the regular dungeons that are doing the heroics, are some of the most fun dungeons in all of WoW. I think they have, for me, it takes the cake. Like doing those Wrath dungeons are so much fun, and the music as well. I think of like the Dragonblight music, the piano, just the overall feel of it, like you guys were saying, is very nostalgic for me, and is but the dungeon design, man, fuck, the dungeon design was so good in Wrath.
Yeah, there were some really good
Pinnacle,
ones for
Nexus,
sure.
Utgard Key, like it's just so many.
It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out, though. Gray said something on stream the other day that I thought was kind of stupid at first, and then I thought about it more, and I was like, man, maybe he's onto something. He was saying that he thinks the classic player base in 2023 or whatever is going to really enjoy the LFG Dungeon Finder tool. They're going to see nothing wrong with it. And I was thinking, man, he might be right. There's a lot of people out there that play Classic WoW right now that they just want to happily buy gold, raid log, all the convenient stuff, and they just enjoy the game, man. Like they don't want to grind anything. Like it's just convenience. They want to log in, they want to do their thing. They're working full time, and that's a lot of people, and that might be how it shakes out, that people enjoy that a lot. We went through that stage of everybody dooming on the LFG tool like it was the worst thing ever. I'm a bit undecided. I don't even really remember.
Yeah. I have a very clear opinion on it, actually. I was a very much a hater of LFG, but I might not be anymore if they make one change to it, which is, in my opinion, they should not teleport the group to the dungeon. Just have the dungeon finder find the group, automatically put you in a group together, and then you move together.
Well, that's what they have right now in TBC, and no one uses it, right?
Yeah.
And in Classic,
No,
I think that
that's not exactly it.
TBC, yeah.
TBC, you have to manually use it. I mean, like, you still click on I'm a tank, I search a group, or I'm a DPS, search a group. It fits you into a group. You move to the dungeon. I feel the teleportation is a very big problem. Yeah. Maybe something else that's quite important there is if you have LFG over like cross realm, it's an entirely different thing than if you have an LFG tool in just one realm.
It kind of
still have the community feeling.
It kind of goes back to what you're saying too, DevCamp. Though we are changing. Like we used to enjoy PvP, world PvP, and think it was wholesome and great. And some people still do. I'm not knocking you. It's just I'm just thinking about myself here, right? We are changing. So a lot of us just kind of don't want to be bothered. We're doing our own things. I can see a world, and I can even almost see myself enjoying the LFG tool. I'm just kind of doing my own thing. I press the fucking button, and then I like go to the kitchen to make a sandwich and wait for like the thing to like go bing, and then you just teleport to the dungeon, and it's great. Like,
I don't think it's gonna be a big deal either. I think people are gonna be more accepting of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like Dunedain's idea though. I think that's actually pretty it doesn't sound
Don't
like it's that big a
teleport.
deal, but I think it does add it. Having that instant teleportation just does take something. Yeah, it sounds so simple, but I think it does kind of fix some things too. And also not being able to choose who you get grouped up with. I know for some people but I think the player base being more knowledgeable than they were back then is also going to be a big difference, right? We're going to be grouped with people, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a group that's going to go fine, right? Back in the day, I think the problem was a lot of people would get in groups of people who had no idea what the fuck they were doing, and it caused a lot more issues, right? So maybe that as well will be a lot different. But I'm interested to see what they're going to do and how they're going to implement that. But dude,
Yeah.
that is interesting. I think that's
That's a
something
good
that
thought, yeah.
I you kind of take for granted, like just being teleported there. But I think just having that little bit of like people grouping up together, and they have to summon people, do that. It has that feeling of like doing something together at first. So the group goes in together. Not everyone sits there. They fucking wait for the tank who's AFK for fucking 5 minutes.
So why did we hate on LFD in the first place? It's because it takes social interaction away, right?
Yeah, but
Why do you
we're
like
already
LFD?
we're already sort of doing that though. Like in some ways, right? Where
Yeah.
we're just chilling on Discord with our boys, or we're just doing whatever, like, and we're just it's just so fucking different. The time we live in, who we are. I feel you, Dunedain. It's like you go through these cycles, right? Like you miss the social engagement, and then you get over socialized, and you don't want the social engagement. It's just we're constantly in this perpetual state of like wanting something different and going through these evolutions.
Suggestion makes it more convenient to find a group because it's kind of automated. Well, it is fully automated, but you still have to have the social interactions to get there, to get people summoned eventually, or whatever it is. But also you kind of have the traveling through the world, and you know where the dungeon is. Think of Blackrock Mountain. Think of an LFG tool in Blackrock Mountain. You teleport into UBRS. That's awful.
Yeah, true.
If you can get a group together with the dungeon finder, that in itself is not as awful. It's probably just nice and convenient. And if you run there together, then you still have that feeling of going to the dungeon. I kind of like the idea. I hope maybe it gets implemented. Who knows?
Yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. One thing I just wanted to quickly touch on too before I forget. There will be a new Hardcore Cup. It's going to be on March 5th, I believe. It's the first weekend of March, and it will be on TBC servers. There's a trailer coming soon, announcement coming soon on Reddit, but it's 100% happening. All formats supported, solo, duo, trio. You can play anything you want. We'll see how it shakes out. We've never done one on TBC, but the main reason why we're doing it on TBC as well is to prevent griefing. To be honest with you, like we're living in that world now. There's a lot of eyes on hardcore, and we've dealt with that a lot. And SOM is just as exciting as it would be to see how far people could get with 100% environment or 40% environment. There's not enough servers, only like 2 options. So TBC, there's plenty of dead PvE realms. You can play EU, you can play NA. Just make sure you record everything, and we'll just have some fun. It's gonna be fun, a little fresh, a little mini fresh. So first week of March. That's it's just the way she goes, man. Sometimes you can't have nice things because people want to fuck with you.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the thing is, and I told this to you before, Cargos. I think the kind of people that do that kind of shit, you know what I mean? It ends up just like making them look bad anyway. And I think it's such a small part of the community anyway that it really doesn't. I don't think needs to be even given that much attention. You know what I mean? Like it ends up being like the kind of people that do that are people that like feel good about trying to ruin someone else's day.
Yep.
And those kind of people, they're already lost, right? They're already losing. Like that kind of person is just a fucking asshole, just an idiot. And there's nothing else you can really like. That's the way I think about it.
Well,
like,
they can have a high impact. That's the only thing. Like you can have a high impact
if you let them. Yeah, they can. But also, I think you got to be very careful with letting them have a high impact.
True.
And sometimes, like not even talking about it or not even bringing it up is the best thing to do, because the more that you bring it up, and the more that they like it, the more that they feel like they're making an impact. Right.
True. Yeah, I mean, I'm just keeping it $1.50, man. That's just our thought process.
Yeah.
We gotta.
I'm not very sure what happened exactly to the hardcore community, but all I can say is when I watched some of the Road to Ragnarok streams, and I competed in one of the first hardcore cups as well, I think. And generally speaking, I always enjoy watching those streams, and I enjoy watching Road to Ragnarok. I enjoyed playing the cup. I think it's a very nice and fun thing to do. And I think you are onto, or you were onto something, Cargos, even so far that Blizzard implemented it. So who cares if people are negative about it?
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
Exactly.
So someone said, "Lol, you guys are dumb, taking social interaction away. You play hardcore that excludes using the majority of the social systems." I'm only saying this just because I don't know why I'm saying this, but okay, if you've played hardcore before, it's not even a stretch, bro. You feel very socialized when you're playing hardcore. Often, like, even though you're not grouping it out in the open world, bro, like Sick Wicked, if you even are still here and didn't just like type that and leave, you just gotta try it, bro. Like I can't really explain it. Like you feel very connected with other people. You're jumping in dungeon, like the comms for dungeons. You're talking to people. You're doing every dungeon together. It's actually a very social experience. And I'm not like ultra drinking the hardcore Kool-Aid right now. I'm playing multi-life mainly. Like I'm not only playing hardcore. You know, like I'm playing just the game normally right now. But it's just a fact, man. I don't know what to tell you. But
I feel like yeah, dude, you're 100% right. Like, I have never felt more fucking, like, part of something than doing the Road to Rag. 100%. Like, have my own guild since Classic, but the fact that not only were you only able to, trade with people in your community, like, the community that you get in hardcore, especially like I said with the Road to Rag event, everyone was working with each other to get there. Even the people who weren't in the raid, like myself and yourself, Cargos, were fucking, doing so much just to help out. And I feel like it's the exact opposite of what he said.
Yeah.
I think hardcore, for whatever reason, and like the reasons that you said, has the most socially like open, kind of flexibility that any other version of the game has had for me. And maybe it was because of the Road to Rag event, but other hardcore challenges are the same because people know what it's like to lose a character. You have that camaraderie. People are constantly helping each other out as much as they can. And yeah, there are some avenues that do get shut off, but it makes you appreciate the avenues that you do have even more so, right? So when you're able to trade someone at level 60 and you're able to do these things to help each other and do dungeons, it's like it brings everyone together so much. So yeah, definitely something I would try out before making that kind of judgment call on it.
For sure.
But just yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, well said, brother. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well.
Oh man,
it was
yeah,
hell of an experience.
It really was. It really was, dude. And I think I know things have definitely but that was what it was. It was for the event to kill Rag, and people are still going at it today. Though the guild's still going strong. The elite guild. We had multiple guilds with over 1,000 with 1,000 people, and I think 6 or 7 at one point. There was like 7 guilds that had 1,000 people each, and now I think there's like 500 or so people that have hit level 60. They're still going at it. People are still in the channel right now talking to each other, and it's it was an amazing experience to be a part of. Absolutely.
Yeah, man, true. Yo, Duranosaur with the raid.
There
Thank
he
you
is.
very much, man. The GM of HC Elite. Little quick announcement too. If you want to continue chasing the hardcore dream, or if you're just doing a hardcore run and you hit 60, it doesn't stop there. There are still folks trying to make stuff happen. They're trying to get their bearings straight. They did another raid the other day, lost a few folks, but in my mind, it was still a great success that you showed up to MC, fully consumed a ton of people. Duranosaur, GM of HC Elite on Obsidian Edge. And here's the thing. Obsidian Edge has died as a server. I'm in the top guild on Obsidian Edge. We're leaving. Most of my folks already dipped out. All like the guilds are leaving Obsidian Edge. It is essentially a hardcore server. So it's weird how hardcore, like it's almost like the server's better now for hardcore. Like it is a hardcore server. There are no guilds. There's like one guild on Obsidian Edge now. So it's ripe for hardcore, man. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Keeping it going as long as we can. Hell yeah. Semi-casual keck, yeah, bro. So, yeah. Shout out to Tyrannosaur. Thank you very much for that. Nom Nom in the house. Lots of good people in here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Any final points you want to touch on, Dunedain? You had a big list there. Anything?
I've maybe, but it's like we should probably have done that in the start of the show. I had a final point or a beginning point on SOM. I don't know if you want to start on it, but maybe. I was thinking SOM might be an opportunity for us MMO players to watch MMOs a little bit different. Let me explain a little bit. if we watch at current retail WoW or TBC or RAT or whatever classic WoW we played, our goal is to get max level, get professions maxed out, get all the biz gear, pre-biz gear possible, then raid and kill all the bosses, preferably every week, to get the best gear possible. And I'm not entirely sure if that's what an MMO is supposed to be. Because when we first started playing vanilla 15 years ago, 16, 17 years ago, I think almost now, that wasn't the case at all. I made a character, I wanted to see the world, level up, get stronger, and hopefully set foot in a raid and get one piece of epic gear, maybe, while other guilds were better than us, and maybe one on the server was raiding Nax and killing some bosses there. And I thought that was a very interesting concept. But in the current time frame, it seems impossible to have that concept. And I was thinking when SOM launched, maybe this is an opportunity to have that again, because it's so fast paced and it's more difficult. Maybe not many guilds will be able to clear MC before BWL comes out, and maybe BWL will not even be cleared by the majority before AQ comes out. And maybe that's cool that not everyone has all the gear and not kills every boss every single week. I was hoping it would bring some kind of revolution.
You know, it did kind of happen though a bit, right? Dunedain? You're actually kind of right. A lot of guilds did not complete MC.
Mm-hmm.
MC was
that happened. Yeah, indeed. But the revolution didn't happen, which I was hoping a little bit.
Yeah, the revolution.
Yeah.
So maybe it's still something to come. Maybe, who knows? But
for whatever
that was
it's worth,
something I had in mind. I wanted to share.
That's interesting.
I appreciate the feedback, and I Dunedain is a super wholesome take on WoW in general. It's very refreshing. For me, I made a hunter named Weeb Slayer X to counter grief these griefers or whatever, just to try to mess with them back or try to like just defend the hardcore folks. And I didn't really think much of it. I just made him. And then I started just playing multi-life and kind of fell in love with it, man. It was so much more fun than I thought it was going to be. And the recipe, the formula for SOM has been very good for me so far. I've really enjoyed it, man. There's probably not that many people who feel the same, but I've really enjoyed SOM, and I want to play Season 2. I'm already thinking about Season 2, and just the pacing, I'm enjoying it right now. More gear dropping, potions proccing. I'm loving it. And I'm probably going to finish the whole thing and go through with this guild, and I don't know, boys.
That
was it.
One thing with SOM that I think was really interesting to take out of this all is, I thought that SOM was going to be a place where the people who were most passionate about Classic would end up playing and would be very at least more successful than it is now and more people playing. But I think one thing that I've taken away from this, and I think maybe some other people has, is like when you have hype around something that like Classic when it first came out, or like TBC, when you have so much hype around it, you get people who get into it, and you start this community, you start this social, like the guilds that come up and everything. And I think one thing to me that seemed like a reason why at least SOM isn't as big as it was is because the communities that revolved around it are so revolved around Classic, TBC, Wrath coming out, and the kind of people that were playing SOM maybe are people who wanted to see something different. A lot of people got turned off by the world buff thing. A lot of people got turned off by things being different. But I think at the end of the day, you got to realize is a lot of people coming in there doing something that they either did a couple months ago or a year ago, for a lot of people was just too soon, like we said earlier. But with SOM being as different as it was, I really do believe that if more people did play it, like kind of the way Cargo's is, it would be more popular. But I think the biggest issue is the fact that we have TBC out with SOM, and it's
with SOM.
almost impossible for people to play SOM without fully.
Imagine,
while playing
Def.
TBC.
Imagine they didn't release SOM until the end of this year. So TBC had way more of a runway, the highs and lows, and then Wrath launched next to SOM.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, bro. I mean, I actually think a lot of people would be interested in SOM, bro. Like enough time would have passed. Oh, it would split the community, man. It would split the community.
Yeah.
It would be another year of no classic, and some people might miss it, like a bigger amount. I don't know.
You know, it comes down to the fact is like, you know, if I were, because dude, I can't tell you how much fun I had playing on my Holy Paladin, you know, doing these dungeons over again. If I had no TBC right now, I could honestly say that I would 100% be playing SOM every day. 100 fucking percent.
Yeah.
Like I really would, because I had so much fun playing it. It's just the fact that, you know, all my eggs are pretty much in the TBC basket, and I still play SOM here and there, but it's not viable. It's not available for me.
Yeah, I feel exactly like that. But I want to say, if it were to be released together with Red instead of when it actually was, it would have split the community probably. But I think the key point there is, again, release it at the same day. So it splits the community before guilds are formed, or before social interactions are formed inside one of the two versions of the game. And then it doesn't matter that it splits the community, because
Right.
you have two separate communities, each having their own, and that's fine. And let them just evolve separate from each other. And after a year and a half, or whenever you want, we can release a new cycle.
Yeah, true.
Job's done. Yeah. The bad thing now was that TBC was just out for a few months, or something like that, and people left, and then you go through like a roller coaster on TBC, and that's just bad.
But I hope that the lack of success for SOM doesn't deter Blizzard from doing more stuff like this in the future. That's my biggest worry about this, right? Because I think with what they did with SOM was so smart and innovative, and I hope they keep doing this. I hope they don't look at the lack of people saying, "Oh, well, we failed with SOM." No, keep doing stuff like this, you know, because that will make the games better in the future, and that will hopefully have more seasons come out, and down the line, you know, potentially a Classic Plus. So if anyone from Blizzard's out there watching, please don't let the lack of numbers drive your continuation of SOM or the season.
Yeah, some of us really appreciate it. Some of us really enjoy SOM. I hope they don't feel like SOM was not successful in their mind. Yo, I've learned over time, though, at least for me, for whatever it's worth, every other iteration of World of Warcraft is a vacation. It's temporary. It's not home. I enjoy them. DBC is great. Wrath is going to be great. Vanilla is home. Best version of WoW by a country mile. I don't know why it's not getting old in my mind. The items are amazing. They're rich. They're flavorful. They're freaking just phenomenal. There's a lot of depth to the game. The consumables, the meta is shifted around a bit with S1 too, I think, in a better way. Just love this game, man. I love Vanilla WoW, and I just realized that about myself over time.
And it's funny because I feel very much happy with how TBC is right now as well. And I know I do anything you do as well. Like I'm very much I'm having fun, PvEing, PvPing,
making alts as well.
Yeah, making alts.
Go
I'm
through the old world
it.
again. Yeah, it's
yep,
cool.
exactly. So all in all, I think, like, you know, very, you know, hopefully looking future, looking for a bright future in terms of what's going to be coming for WoW in general, for us WoW fans, and you know, who knows what else is going to happen with different seasons or whatnot. I'm not even going to talk about retail because I don't think anything has happened there for the last 2 years or so. But I know that they're talking about having a new expansion potentially about the Dragon Isles or some stuff that was leaked, but yeah, I think, you know, the message today so far has been that, you know, a lot of us are happy with how the states of the games currently are right now, in terms of SOM and BC.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Right. I want to maybe end with a big shout out to my guild again, the Fellowship. Well, Fellowship on Faramir, because the Fellowship was taken. Yeah, and we are still alive and kicking on SOM, not in the raid anymore, but there's still a lot of people raiding as well. So if you want to have a look on our Discord, I will link it both on YouTube and Twitch.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is not just some temporary guild Dunedain spun up. Dunedain, like basically episode 1 of GMA, was thinking about starting the Fellowship, actually started it, and it is still alive and well to this day, which is...
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that is... Man, what's the average lifespan of a WoW guild? That's a question. Some people answer. You know, like
I'd say 4 to 6 months, maybe.
yeah.
Maybe I don't know, maybe more than that. But yeah, our guild's still going strong too. Shout out to Victory or Death, who was once Eden, who was once Invictus. We still have a good portion of a lot of our core raiders there as well. So shout outs to Victory or Death on Faralina. Got some guild pride as well. So yeah, man, we like I said, we killed Illidan last week. We killed him again this week. I got my mace. I got the Crystal Spine of Caribor. I got my fucking healing mace. So no glaives yet, but hopefully we'll get a glaive next week. But yeah, man, we're still going strong as well. So anyone wants to join us, you know, we're I think we're full right now, but we you know, always looking for people to hang out if you want to just be a what's it called, social. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you're looking for a home on SOM too, hit me up. I think we're taking socials when we move over to Shadow Strike. But yeah, good episode, guys. Shout out
Becker, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
thanks.
nice.
Thanks for your time. We should do it again soon.
Definitely.
Yes. We got to do the not have next time we'll hopefully have Melderon too. We'll have Melderon here, but there was just a lot to go over today, and I think we covered pretty much everything, and you know, hopefully we'll do another one soon, and you know, in the meantime we'll hopefully not everyone's playing Lost Ark now, but we'll still be playing WoW, so
Yeah.
you can catch all, you know, myself on my stream. And Cargos, are you still streaming SOM, or are you just
I probably should. I just been taking a little bit of a break after Road to Rag and stuff, but
Yeah, I hear ya.
eventually you kind of feel the itch again, and the number one thing that draws me back every time is you guys and Grays and the other people that, you know, are friends, you know, and they just, when your friends are playing, I don't know, it just makes me want to come back more than anything else. So stream and participate in the community.
Yep.
So thanks everybody for watching. A lot of subs, a lot of support. Really appreciate it, guys. A lot of familiar faces in the chat. We'll see you next time. It's Good Morning Azeroth 66 signing out. Take it easy.
Hell yeah, guys. Peace. Take it easy, guys.